Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little late, everybody. We just had an amazing lemonade. So on some days, the lemonade is right before the juice. I'm working
You
with
should
a
explain
team.
what the lemonade is.
Oh, there you go, Carrie Lee. I should explain what the lemonade is. So the lemonade is a webinar that is geared toward the pediatric owners, and the juice is geared toward adult PT private practice owners. We don't care what you are. We're just happy that you're here. But we are trying to differentiate, since there are slightly different business model aspects, et cetera, et cetera. But I see a bunch of peds on here. That's fantastic. We're happy to have you. And most of you know me, although I see a couple of new people here. I'm Nancy Mura. I am the founder of Pizza-Palooza Community and Conferences and the Private Practice Network and Conferences. Guys, if you haven't joined PPN, Private Practice Network and Conferences, you should go ahead and request to join that. I'm very excited about today. We just had a great discussion on the lemonade on breathe, believe, take massive action. And we had Paul, we had Uplift on there. We had Matt Hansis. And it was really fantastic because we talked about goal setting and in the area and bringing in marketing and where it all plays in. That was truly fantastic. I have some housekeeping for you guys. The adult, there's an adult PT roundtable wrapped inside of the Flourish Conference, October 7, 8, and 9. And everything is final sale was yesterday for one and today for the other. And we have a pretty packed crowd. We have like over 400 people. So, or around 400. I think we're around 400. Now we are going to launch it virtually as well. So there is going to be, if you can't make it live, the virtual. Ebony, you might have been asking about virtual. I can't remember, but if you were, we are going to launch that like in the next day or two. So we have that. Now, the other thing you may have noticed is that what happened at KPPS? Where's the book club? Where's the book club? So the book club is on hiatus because we're redoing the book. And so we thought, well, let's just wait till we relaunch it and get all of our ducks in a row and do it right. So Paul and I are on hiatus from that for right now. That's probably news to Paul. Paul's like, can you let me know what my schedule is, please? So I can plan. Well, Paul, that's the new schedule. So we're gonna put it on ice for a little bit and relaunch that puppy. All right, so that's my housekeeping. The other thing I want to tell you is that we don't do anything just making it up and deciding what you guys want to hear about. We survey everything. It's actual technology from the sponsors who are Survival Strategies. Some of you know them, some of you don't. Survival Strategies is a training and consulting firm that's been training and consulting private practice owners for 34 plus years. Paul here is one of, see, I hate to say oldest client because it sounds like age, but it's not. He's been with Survival for like 22, 25, something like that years, like a couple of decades. And he's really gotten extremely knowledgeable at being a CEO. And he's become an expert at being a CEO and a leader and an opinion leader in his field, which was just what our our lemonade prior to this was about. Paul is in what we call phase 2, excuse me. Phase 2, phase 1 is when you're starting your practice and it's all growing and you have to be there like, oh, crazy person. And then phase 2 is when it's run so well that you can, go to Europe for a month or live in, like Paul does. Paul lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and his practice is in Topeka. So of course he goes to Topeka, Kansas and oversees things, but the beauty of Zoom and the beauty of all this technology we have, Paul does not have to be there and he can be with his wife and his grandkids and they're doing all kinds of great stuff there. Paul's a huge leader in his community and he does a lot to ensure that communities are improving and not, if you've noticed, getting worse and going down a dwindling spiral. Paul is like an action taker. When it comes to stuff like that, he really puts his money where his mouth is. So Paul Silovsky, owner of Rebound Physical Therapy, 2 locations, Topeka, Kansas. We have him here today. He's got a whole lovely presentation. Paul, why don't you take it away and tell us what you got?
Okay, well, this is a subject that isn't really that often talked about in our space. At least I have not seen a lot done on the subject of branding and its importance. Branding in the future, or into the future, for the future, is the fundamental concept of what I'm going to talk about today. I'll talk a lot about the concept of branding, but how important it is to have a vision of who you are and where you're going, and how to communicate that, and more importantly, to embed it inside of your organization. Now, I'm not a marketing expert by any stretch. Did get some help on this subject and I learned an awful lot actually heading into right before I started really looking into this before the pandemic started in 2019. And I've worked with a branding expert. Did some study and did some reading. So I'm going to share a little bit of what I found out going through that process in my company. We have always been Rebound Physical Therapy from the start. So at least I'm super cool with the name. I mean, Roxanne and I, it was definitely a kitchen table thing, right? But we didn't change the name. We went through a brand refresh in 2020. And we were going through it when the pandemic hit. So we waited to launch until last year. But it took us many, many months of research, and Nancy talks about surveys. And so as you're going, as you listen to my presentation here, and we should definitely have enough time at the end to chat. I don't have any idea when I put these things together, by the way, how long they're going to take. So I will just tighter I'll move faster if I need to. I'll definitely leave time for Q&A at the end. But really what I want you guys to do is take the data and start looking today at where you sit and answering some of the questions that I was asked and that I even asked myself. I mean, I sought out someone because I felt like I didn't know for sure after 25 years whether our brand was still relevant or up to date. I'll tell you that we've experienced a resurgence in doing it. So while everybody here has a company and has a brand identity in that, it can definitely be strengthened. We definitely strengthened ours. And actually I've made my life a lot simpler for my PR and marketing staff by doing this from an owner's perspective. So look at this from the owner perspective, looking out and also looking at it from the eyes of the consumer. And I'm actually going to play a video from a guy that I got help with. His name's David Breyer, who's he's a guru in the branding world. This guy's, is a leader, definitely what'd you say, a thought leader, Nancy, or opinion leader?
Opinion leader. Yeah, opinion leader. Matt just called it. Paul and I share the same amazing marketing company. He was kind enough to share his team with us, and now they're part of us. But he called it Carrie, do you remember what he called it? It was opinion leader and thought leader. Thought leader, and the importance of being a thought leader in your profession. And boy, I have so much conviction that is the way to go. Ooh.
Cool. So hey, I'm just going to jump into it. Be patient with me while I have a PowerPoint. I'm going to show you guys a video. Hopefully it plays fine midway through, and then I'm going to pull up a brand book, something that David helped us create, so you can see what I'm talking about more from the property side. But I'm actually not going to spend any time in this presentation showing you and comparing brands or anything like that. I'm not going to go diving into your websites. I'm not going to look at logo. That's not what we're doing here. I want to give you a 101 basics on the perspective of how embracive a brand really is and what it has to do with you as the owner and for it, because it really comes out of your you're the office of the owner. This is something that if you do management training with survival strategies, if you've done it or you haven't done it, and you're going to do it, you're going to learn about how important the office of the owner is. I mean, it's a totally separate hat. So what I'm communicating to you today is from the viewpoint of owning your brand and getting it imbued into your company, via your staff and out into your community. It's not a logo. It's not all those pretty things that go with it. That's just part of it. That's an important part of it, but it isn't it. So let me see. I think I can share here, and I'm going to turn my sound on for later. And here we go from the beginning. I don't know what this. So branding and the future. Here's a great question to start with. What do you stand for, and where are you going? So your brand obviously is what you stand for, or what you stand for in the mind of your consumers, and it really has a lot to do with where you're going. I think it's a really important part. What is branding? I'm going to show you guys a video on this later. I'm going to show you a video from what I conceive to be one of the best definitions that I've seen of branding, and this comes from David Breyer. He's a friend of mine, but definitely this guy, I followed him for years, and I employed him a few years ago because I had great confidence after I studied what he was saying about branding. It's called the art of differentiation. That is a great definition. It's how to differentiate yourself from competitors in the marketplace, and I'm going to get into some of the different things you're competing against in the marketplace, and it isn't other providers, by the way, as being your only competition, or the only thing you need to differentiate from and around. And then I have there's a whole presentation that I've done in years past with and for survival strategies, where there's this guy got the name of Sergio Zyman. He's a marketing expert. He was hired many years ago by Coca-Cola back in the 80s when they tried to change their identity with the new Coke or whatever it was, and they made a huge mistake, and this guy recovered them out of that. Woo! But he says, differentiate or you die. And I think that's another testament to this point of differentiation when it comes to identifying your brand and really dinging it in. Because if you are unable to differentiate, it will really blunt or stunt your growth, or even kill you to blend in with all the rest. So there's a couple of really simple definitions of branding. It's the art of differentiation. So it's something you continually have to do in your word tracks that you use verbally, things you use on your website, all your collateral materials, with your your Facebook messaging, the word tracks that your staff use, and the things that you get your staff to understand about you and your company. So how important is your brand? Pretty dang important for sure, is the answer to that question. I even seen this question in a book. I recently reread another book called, I think it's called Becoming Categorical One, or Categorical One, that concept. It's a really great book. But they really get into branding on that one too, and they actually say that this is it's probably the most important thing, for certainly one of the most important things inside of the responsibilities of an owner. So your brand definitely defines you in the marketplace. Your brand is not your advertising. It's not for the marketing and PR and advertising agencies that you may or may not employ. Your brand is certainly not just your logo, although your logo should communicate. Your brand is not your company name. Certainly not your product. I mean, obviously, we're not selling products. We may sell products as adjunctive, care products towards what we're delivering, 100%. But obviously, we have a service-based product in all of our clinics. Your brand definitely resides within the minds of your customers. And then your brand is whoever your customers think you are. So whatever they think your promise is to them, and whether or not they believe that you actually keep that promise. This last statement is pretty important for you as an owner and for your executive team to really bring home. Hopefully, here's what I hope for you guys. You listen to this presentation, you ask yourself some questions. of what, what it is that you represent in the mind or the minds of your consumers and your customers, and whether or not you can really back that up and whether they believe you. So your brand is totally vital to your success. I say here, brand is everything. It really should be the top priority of every employee to build, protect, and represent your brand to the best of their ability. So if you spend some time with, really having your staff understand who you are, what you represent, not from just the owner's viewpoint, but in the minds of the consumers. I know when we did the brand refresh, I asked myself after 20 plus years, I wanted to verify what we thought. So I hired an outside agency to survey publics, between referral sources, current patients, past patients, and even competitors, get out into the community and talk to people. Obviously, we had been around in our community for a while. It was really important for me. I wanted to confront that reality. I wanted to make sure that I was communicating, that our staff was communicating from a viewpoint or a reality of the consumer, and that we were really maximizing or leveraging what we did best in the minds of the public, and just verify that, especially since, at that point, I was making the full-time transition to living here. And when I say full-time, spending most of my time here, I was in Kansas last week, but I go out there 1 week a month, and I'm still definitely working. I had 2 meetings this morning already, and 2 very productive meetings. One was with Topeka, and one was with a developing organization in Kansas City. I'm developing new things, but I wanted to make sure that as I moved further away physically, that we were really holding those things in. So it really is a top priority to make sure that it's really understood by your staff, and you need to verify that against what the public says. So what is your promise to your customers or your public? What is it that you want to be in their minds? Because it needs to be a part of everything that you do in your messaging, not just PR and marketing, but what your staff represents. So branding is everything. Doing the work of creating your brand versus just telling the story through PR and marketing is really, really crucial. And you don't want someone else telling the story, by the way. It's not just the job. It's not the job. And we have 2 different marketing agencies we work with. Plus I have 3 full-time PR and marketing staff. So it's not the job of marketing, advertising, and the PR departments, or your PR departments, if you have one, to create the brand. It's not their job. It's your job to make sure it's valid and that it's well known inside your company and of course outside, and verify it. So it's not the job of the marketing, advertising, PR departments to create the brand. They help tell the story for sure with all of your tools in marketing, your logos, your images, your colors, your fonts, your designs, all your different layouts and your messaging. Hopefully you look at these things and make sure they're consistent. I know it wasn't for me as consistent as it is now prior to 2019. It's been a blessing to go through the process for us, because now we have, total alignment in everything we do. And I'll show you real briefly, just in our brand book, what I mean by that. But it's the job of everyone else in the company to help create your brand experience with how they interact and how they work every day with the various publics, not just your patients, obviously the families, other businesses, referral sources, students, schools, the whole, you've got that brand at work in a number of publics. So it's not just telling a story. It's not just looking cool and saying who you are and what you do, but it's really demonstrating it. So your first step, here's one of your first steps. This is an advice for you to take a look. If you look at your website, if you look at your collateral materials, if you have, brochures or videos or program descriptions of different things that you do, you want to weed out any cliche statements and clarify, why and how you are different. If branding is the art of differentiation, you want to make sure you can isolate and identify with those things that make you unique or different in the mind of the consumer. You want to take out, while you might say that you guys do quality care and I've seen a number of expressions, but everybody says they do, quality work and express what they do okay, the doingness of, the doingness of the various therapies. Everybody does that. So it's not going to differentiate you. I find by and large that most often, that's a quote from David Breyer, by the way, most often we don't spend enough time humanizing our brands to make them a real emotional experience for the public as opposed to something that is technically based. So survey your publics and find out what it is that you represent in their mind currently. And as far as branding for the future, if you want to move that imagery or you want to move that to a more emotionally driven experience, or I call it the humanized experience, then you're going to have to find out from the public's most important to them, but more importantly, find out where you stand currently. If you're a brand new brand, then if you're just getting started, well, great, then you can write the story. You don't have to leave it up to the public to decide who you are. You can drive it. I'm certainly wanting to drive an expanded image going forward with our brand refresh. It was great validation of finding out who they thought we were, or what we were defined as by the public. Now we're just driving the story and make sure that we can tell the story even better going forward. So this was one of the toughest things for me to do. I'll tell you, something that David had me do is this statement here: isolate your results from your competitors. And when I listed out every major service that we delivered by diagnosis group and by functionality, the different manual therapies that we do, some of the functional type exercise, some of our specialties in aquatics and pelvic floor, pelvic health, or women's health. We have a lot of different things that we do. When I had to lay every one of these out on a massive spreadsheet, and I had to put down what we were competing against in other professions or other treatments. Certainly drugs and surgery was a big competitor for us in the adult outpatient arena, outpatient therapy arena. But we're all competing against, not just other like-minded providers, other like providers for me, other rehab providers, other professions. We have chiropractic and massage. I can tell you that in the physical therapy, musculoskeletal medicine world, we are not top of mind as an industry. We're in the top 10, but we're not in the top 5 that people think of when it comes to musculoskeletal pain. And that's been validated in very, very much so in research. Now in Topeka, yeah, we've worked hard at moving into the top 5 for sure for a lot of things that we do. But it was really interesting for me that we're not just competing against other like-minded providers. It's definitely other professions. And number 1 and 2 was drugs and surgery that we're competing against. People try those things before they try us in many instances, or go to their docs, obviously. So, and then of course there's the apathetic approach of doing nothing. So it's really interesting if you laid out the cause and effect of what you do and how you handle certain things or certain conditions and what your results are, and how you're going to leverage what you do differently and how you can represent yourself differently. It's quite a drill. It was it was mind bending for me, but you're doing it to find out what are the differentiators. What can you use to stand out? Because if branding is the art of differentiation, you better nail it for your organization, not only from who you represent from what we call a beingness standpoint, from the vibe, if you will, or the who you are and what you do. I don't spend a whole lot of time explaining what we do because it's not well understood anyway. But for sure the results and or the emotional impact that you can make in someone's life, how can you differentiate yourself? So when it comes to differentiating, your brand must be visible. If it will ever help more people, you have to nail down what makes you different. And because blending in fails not only your brand, but all those people you're never going to reach because you never even attempted to find out what made you different and how to communicate that to others. To become visible, you've got to differentiate. This is a question that was asked in one of the books that I read. Can any one company use the same word tracks, the same messages, and promises as other companies and convince the world how unique they are. We don't probably have anybody on here with a worldwide brand, but you could certainly have a worldwide mentality. We're definitely going to expand into, into other markets in the next couple of years. I've already, I'm looking at one other new clinic and or starting one in the Kansas City market, and then purchasing one in another regional market. And I'm already partnering with another 4-clinic clinic in shared managed services. So, certainly not nationwide, but you really need to nail down what makes you unique, and don't get caught in using the same word track. So when you go look at your website, go look at 5 other websites and someone in your space and see if you guys aren't saying the same things. It's really important. So the answer to the question obviously is no. Here's a law of branding. If your brand is using cliche statements, you're promoting a category and not your brand. You don't want to promote the category of, pediatric therapy or physical therapy in general. You want to, isolate and differentiate your brand and give people a reason to pick you over someone or something else, not even someone else in your space, but something else that's generalized in the space. So tell the story. I mentioned this before. If you don't give the market the story to talk about, they'll define your story for you. Now, I'm going to show you a word track story here in just a second. I'm just going to show you a brand story that we created back in 2019 before we even finalized it in 2020. But everything that surrounds this, whether that be a brochure, a landing page on your website, the videos that you create. We have some brand identity videos. We actually created 5 videos when we did our brand refresh. We have a 2 to 3 minute sizzle video about our whole company, and then we isolated the women's health, the aquatics, and the sports medicine realm. And then we came up with a 30-second sizzle video about our company that helps visually tell the story about our brand. It shows people, of course, in action, because our tagline for Rebound Physical Therapy is back in action. And you'll see that in a second when I read the story. But it's really important that you define what the story is, and don't let it be built by someone out in the marketplace, because they will define it for you. They'll tell the stories. Certainly, it is whatever it is right now. If you've been at it for a while, it's been defined. It's been defined in the marketplace already. But if you're not driving it and telling it, then you're losing market opportunity. You're losing control of what that narrative is. And I love this part of it. I did take this from David's book. There's a great book, by the way. Not solely here promoting David Breyer, but it's you can see that the print in this book is huge. But it's called Brand Intervention. Really fast read. Does some great marketing base or branding basics in it that tie with marketing. Give them inspiration, not just information. Don't get caught in the trap of just making informational pieces. There's a big difference between inspiring someone and moving them emotionally to close them. I mean, emotions are really what sell people, and then logic is what closes them. But so you're looking for that emotional impact with your brand experience. And then, of course, as you guys all know, value is not determined by price. If we were paid on what our value was in the rehab marketplace compared to other medical models, we would probably be one of the higher paid professions or group of professions in the industry based upon time spent. If you look at the value of our time spent against the impact that we make for the dollars that they pay us, we are the best deal in the market, like hands down. It would really create a coup if we actually exposed everybody else what people were actually paying for medicines and surgeries and some of the invasive in the testing that occurs in an abusive fashion compared to what we do. But so value is not determined by price, because if it was, we'd already be paid a lot more. We wouldn't have problems, paying our therapists a lot more money. So I'll just leave it at that. But communicating that inside your brand is really going to be important. Consumers do demand differences. If you and I, as owners, fail to clarify in a really persuasive way and define and or communicate our differences. If you don't do it, the customers will do it for you. So you must communicate what makes you unique or different in the marketplace. Matter of fact, I'll go so far as saying, well, we're going to talk very briefly. I'm just going to show you our brand book in just a few minutes. But if you went and looked at simple things in your marketplace, like just drive around and look at all the logos, look at the colors, look at the expressions, the descriptions of other providers, all healthcare providers. And I had to compare to the fitness space because we do some cash-based fitness type things. Rebound Physical Therapy does not have a fitness brand, but we do some fitness. And I had to make sure that we didn't create anything that looked like one of the fitness brands in town. But if you drive around and look, you have to look at the expression of your colors and the messaging or any taglines that you have, and just see if it stands out. You know, we had a really hard time when David wanted us to go with the orange like we've got on the screen, and we surveyed it. We took the same logo in orange and blue. Of course, we went with blue. You're going to see that in a second, because our current consumer base, and even the future consumer base, really knew that was what we communicated more than using orange. But orange would have stood out a little bit more in the market. We went ahead and took the risk of going with the blue, because it really did represent more of who we are. But my point in mentioning that is you need to look at all the things that make a difference, not just the logos and the fonts and the cool, whatever cool imagery you might be using, you know, the total communication of who you are. So if you fail to do that, if you fail to differentiate, they will decide based on price or convenience or some other difference that they isolate in their own minds without you driving it, because they'll decide on what they decide upon as opposed to you telling them, you know, how you are different and what would make you different in their mind. So, you know, they can't differentiate value or the apparent difference without some meaningful experience. Like they have to experience you. Brand new people have to experience you. You know, if it's word of mouth, that's great. But if you create a very comprehensive brand, they have to have a way of isolating your company in their mind. How are they going to separate out your therapy brand from another therapy brand or some competitor like drugs or surgery or some other alternative treatment? You know, this is a smart ass statement, but I saw this in David's book. Telepathy is not a reliable substitute for brand differentiation. This isn't going to happen telepathically. You're going to have to do something to send the message that you want to send or tell the story that you want to tell. You know, brands are about the future. You know, great brands have been built backwards. You think about the visions of Apple or other really dominant brands. You know, the leadership really determined what impact they were going to have in the marketplace and work backwards from that impact on their technology and the development of their product. It wasn't driven by the product. It was driven by the future of the communication, what they wanted that communication to be, what they wanted that brand experience to be for the consumer. So they are built from a future ideal of what can be. You have to fill in the gaps between that future idea, what you're going to become in the marketplace, and what currently exists today for your company, and of course, other company experiences out there. And your most valuable resource is in the future. The future is all we've got anyway, quite frankly. So, it's a lot easier to create there than it is to clean up crap from the past. While cleaning crap from the past is important so you don't create, bad habits or repeat things. When it comes to being the owner of the company and leadership, all you have is the future, and it's infinite. So, where are you headed? That was the first slide, right? What do you represent, and where are you going? You have to define both of those things, and then verify it against the marketplace. So here's a sample brand story that we'll continue to even massage. I'll just read it real quick. At Rebound, we don't see people as broken with some unchangeable condition to be coped with. We take a rebellious approach. We isolate what can't you do now and work out how to return you to what you previously could do. This approach is based on you, your life, and what you should be able to do, not merely masking symptoms you're now struggling with. Our philosophy: adverse conditions were meant to be handled, not masked. because they are quote unquote unchangeable or accepted as unalterable. This is what we've been doing since 1994 for those we serve. The root cause of your problem can be isolated and fully repaired, not merely labeled and tolerated. Our clinic is built on this belief, and our clients routinely reclaim their previous freedom and mobility so they can get back in action, which is our tagline. Start living life to the fullest again, Rebound. Now, it sounds a little bit like a radio ad. Well, I've definitely used, you can use, if your staff understands that, you know, I'm the freaking rebel, right? That's what my staff knows. Like, oh shit, Paul had something to do with this, because I am the rebel. I was the rebel that went into the market and I wanted to have the clinic be something different. I wasn't okay with just the treatment model. I hate the treatment model. That's why we have wellness and sports performance and do a lot of preventative measures. I don't, even while we grew up in the treatment model, I don't like it because it's not enough, right? You got to get people back to functioning the way they want to function and not just treating and masking symptoms. All these things are an embodiment of who we are, and in a little bit of a rebellious way to treat. Even talk to the referral sources. Referral sources, we verified this. They said, you know what's different about your clinic is you're an advocate for the patient. You work with us to get the patient what they need. You challenge us more than other clinics. And some docs that are a little lower on the scale of awareness of how important that is to take care of people in the right way, you know, it offends them. But I'm not worried about those guys. I'm worried about the people we're going to be working with to build a future for their patient, right? So you can see here that this is a part of our brand, not just me, but our philosophy. And that's why therapists like to come work for us. They know they're going to get pushed. They know they're going to have to figure out the cause of the problem and not just treat people. So you can see here that there's more to branding than a logo. And this is just a sample story because our women's health therapist has her own, you know, it's not different from this dramatically, but has her own way of approaching the public that she drives those women's health therapists. And, you know, our sports medicine, this definitely follows the sports medicine vibe too. So hopefully that helps you guys understand this better. Okay, guys, I'm coming down the home stretch. And by the way, Nancy, we're going to have time for questions because it's only 20 till. I've got a video and a brand book to show these guys, and then we can get into some Q&A. So we should have plenty of time, so you guys can put stuff in, put stuff in the chat. Now, hopefully this plays. Nancy, let me know if it plays. Okay, this is like a 2-minute video from David Breyer on what is branding. You'll get an idea of how this. Hopefully this will work.
Sounds good. Love it.
Here we go.
So far, so good.
What is branding? As creators, we want to think it's about us.
Make it louder.
Our brilliant talent, our skills we perfected over the years.
Perfect.
All these magical things: color, space, shape, tension, harmony, typography, beauty, simplicity. Then why do certain brands become great brands? Brands that connect, resonate, and spread like wildfire. It's because we tapped into our ability to see, not as ourselves, but as others. To see the minute details and trends others don't see, not just on the computer screen, or in books, or in galleries, but in and through the eyes, hearts, and minds of people. Geniuses have that special skill to look at the universe of people and translate that into the universe of visual and written communications, to transform those observations we each sense into something we can each tangibly see and understand. That is the magic. That is the spark. That is the genius that gets each of us interested and keeps us going for something greater, for something previously impossible, for something nobody ever thought of before. That is the magic of branding.
Cool, huh? That's
Yeah,
I think a great. Yeah. Did you want to say something, Nancy?
Yeah, that last line, rising above the noise. I'm like, I'm mad that he thought of that, because I was literally just talking to Matt Hansis on the phone. That's our marketing guy, and Paul's too. And I was like, oh my gosh, just you have to rise above the noise. And I was talking to somebody else recently that I hired, my own mentor and coach in the area of marketing, so that I could deliver more to the Paloozies and my Pippins, my private practice network adult population. And that's the for those of you that know the Broadway show Pippin, PPN. My New York background has to think in terms of like musicals. Anyway, with that said, I was listening to Grant Cardone, who Paul also follows, and Grant was just saying how just you have to assume that nobody sees anything you do. Just assume they see nothing. So it's interesting how your brand has to then be like not loud vulgarly or loud obnoxiously, but it has to somehow communicate above the noise. And I just think that is genius. And my win here with the Pizza Palooza, it's so funny because that little logo with the hands has been around for 5 years. And just now, I'm getting people, I go, how did you find us? And they go, I saw your cute little logo and the cute little name. And I was like, what is like Pizza Palooza? It's so weird. Most people do not know. They're like pizza, like pizza, what? But the Peds freaking got it from day one because it was for them. I was not talking to anybody else. I was like, Peds a Palooza. It's like an extravagant event for an extravagant group of people, an amazing, spectacular group of people, and it's Peds a Palooza. And they got it and they get it and they get it every day. It's really kind of funny. And recently, just to give you guys like what it's like when you move into that branding thing, we're working off of style sheets now, which sounded so fancy and sophisticated to me. Like, are we using the brand sheet for the survival strategies table tents for the event? And I love that because we just look at it and it just makes it so easy. It's like when you're a chef and you're looking at all the ingredients you have. Chefs don't look at all the ingredients they have. They look at what they want to make, and then they look at what they have, or they isolate and they just pull out a few things that they do have and they go, that would make a great shrimp scampi. I've got the ingredients for that. To look at that style sheet and to never go off of it, to say, nope, not that blue. Nope. We don't do that blue. We do the blue on the style sheet. It's a freedom. It's a freedom, right, Carrie? Carrie and I have been working on this. It's so great, but it's just, and it's a lot of fun. But you know what, Paul? The thing is that I have to just say to these lovely guys and gals on here is that while this is all great, so many people are in a situation where they literally are like, I can't make payroll this week. I'm stressed out. I still have COVID. It's still getting people. You guys have got to get organized. This is a great presentation. And some of you, I'm sure, and if it's not just the 50, 20, 30 people on here, whatever's on here, if we did this broadly, there'd be people going, yeah, this is all great. I have to go pick up toilet paper. I have to go listen. Come in with her 30 problems a day, because there's always the one person in your office that comes in more than others. Diane says, put that person down on a Post-it, write down Janine came in again, Janine came in again, Janine came in again, and then get Janine trained up. So this is all fantastic, but you guys got to get the know-how of efficiency so you have the time to put your attention on this. It's a catch-22. If you don't put your attention on this, you don't differentiate, you can die. But how do you put your attention on something that you don't have time to put your attention on that sounds like a really great thing in your future? Or you're like, I can do 5 minutes a day, or you're going to do it like, pardon my New York French, you're going to do it half-assedly. You don't want to do things like this half-assedly. You see what Paul did? Paul hired experts. He conducted surveys. He didn't just like, I don't know, we'll just throw something on the wall, and in between like firing people and trying to hire 2 new PTs, we'll figure this out. Like Paul
Nancy, you bring up something really good. We're taking these principles though, these fundamental core messages, and verifying it against something we hadn't done before for our recruitment, because our growth is going to be tied to our ability to recruit more great people. We have a nice sized staff, and we have a productive staff, and we have a very profitable company. In order to go to the next level, we've got to extend this brand messaging into a different consumer marketplace, which is the people that are going to work with us going forward. And so for sure, having your staff understand, even you said 5 or 10 minutes, if you spent a few hours just, verifying and codifying, what you did know that made you different, and making sure everybody knew that the undercut or the core, the undercut basics, the fundamental basics were this as far as who we are. I'm going to show them a brand book, by the way. So I'm going to show them what a brand book is. So they know what you're talking about. But I'll finish this real quick. Is that all right? Go ahead. I got 2 more slides.
Please, no, this is great.
Okay, so tying it all together, your brand, everybody, most people have a mission or vision for their company. They certainly have values, whether they define them or not. The values exist. They're there. They're good or bad. They exist in your company. So tying all these things together, it doesn't take long for you to have a clear statement of, for sure, your mission, your vision, and your values. But your brand properties, now what Nancy's talking about, yeah, did it take me a bit of work to get this revamped, if you will? Luckily, we were already in a place where we built up to where we had a PR marketing team. We actually handled a lot of confusions by putting this together. But you do have, most people have some properties that are, owned by the company and should be driven by the owner. That gives authority to whoever you work with, or internally or externally, for expressing these messages. Even if it's just something really simple, this can be done in not much time without hiring a company. Just the point is you need to be able to drive it, because your brand is your future. I have this is my quote, remember tomorrow. I wish I would have had this in my mind, Nancy, when I was back in college and high school. So when I made decisions today about how I feel tomorrow, so that's what remember tomorrow means. It's like, when you're looking today, remember what it's going to look like and feel like tomorrow. So anyway, that it's relative to branding. So I want to show you guys really quick. We're not going to spend any time. I'm going to flash some images. I just want you to show you the flow of brand book. Nancy was talking about, working with vendors on getting all their imagery and their pieces right, particularly when you're working with outside folks, because it gets altered in a major way if you don't. This is the policy. This is actual policy in my organization. Wendy Stanley, who's a kick-ass PR marketing executive for my company, uses this brand book. If she could do this presentation, she would tell you, oh my gosh, this has saved us so much time and money, because now our brand doesn't get altered, and our all of our vendors, all of our outside vendors have a guide. Okay, so this is a book that was put together after we did all the research, but you could simply come up with something similar to this based upon what you currently have in an expression of the way you want it to be as an owner, because this is company policy in my company. And let me show this to you. Oops, I'm going backwards here. Let me get out of this screen and go to the Rebound brand manual. Okay, so I'm going to go through this really fast just to show you. This is we call it, it's a brand book or a style guide, right? This tells our own group or outside groups how we want our brand represented. Okay, the welcome page gives us a brief statement of the brand story. So this is used by our internal design team and vendors, and it's the authorization to use the brand, the Rebound brand, right? This makes it the statement of policy. Picture of Rox and I, founders of the company, and it just says right here, don't alter this. This basically says you have no authority to do anything other than what's inside of this brand book. And we obviously have all the digital files and everything that goes with it. The story I just read, which is this is the page that will be, this will be on our, I'm sorry, this will be on our land, or one of the pages on our website. The story I read to you guys. So there's a welcome packet. That's what a welcome packet looks like. This is what our our digital footprint is going to look like. This is an old version of our Rebound guy, a new version, and of course we have new colors and a modified logo. These were, when we launched our brand, these are little Yetis that we gave our staff when we launched the brand. But we have merchandise people can buy that has the Rebound brand on it with the back in action on it, which is our tagline. And then the brand elements. So here's different lockups for our logo. This is one logo with a multicolor factor to it. Here's one with a different little collage background. I forgot what they call that, but I'll call it a collage in the background. So these are the different lockup. Here's the primary lockup for our logo, and all this is put into digital files that any marketing company can use, and they only use our files. So that's one. That's the actual color, and then all the different pixelations and sizes and different lockup assemblies with different colors, different expressions depending on how much room they got. If you're getting on a little promotional piece where the back in action won't fit, or the colors won't work, then we can lock it up in different ways. These are different reversals that people can use of our logo, so it's all locked up. These are the only things. And then we actually have on another it actually defines what the different images stand for, what a GIF is, what a PNG file is. It gives, this is like a little mini glossary. It defines it for us and for outside vendors. And then things they can't do. Here's a policy that says, don't do this, because people will alter the shape and form and color and expression. You see here, they put the physical therapy on top and the back in action inside the logo. And they gave us a fat rebound. I don't want a fat rebound. It's just things that you can't do, or embedding it inside of an image where you can't even see the dang thing, right? It's just like, and people do stupid crap like this, I mean, outside vendors, Nancy will tell you, they will alter what is policy in your company. Here's what it looks like on a web page, this actually tells them exactly where to put the logo on a website. Don't put it anywhere else without our authority.
Wow.
There you see it. So it's placement. This is company policy. Here's the social media badges. Those two badges, they only get badges that get used on Facebook or social media placements. Here, this is our signage. Look how this thing, you can see this from a long ways away. This is an LED sign. And then these are just channel letters, but this, we're embedding in their minds what we're about. Our brand is getting people back in action. It's not just Rebound Physical Therapy. This is just one of the shirts. I'm wearing a black. This is a navy. Then we have a royal blue and then a gray shirt. So we have different.
Wait, can you go back? Can you go back to that? I want to take a picture of that because I have.
Which?
Wait, yes, stay right there. Stay right there. Stay right there.
I can send you the brand book.
That's good. I just need, I'll take that, but I just needed that picture because I have some ideas for the mans at my Palooza event.
I got you. Then I'm building hats right now. This is just a t-shirt that we have built. And then all the font, there are only certain fonts that they can use. We tell them exactly what the font is, makes it really easier for a designer. Don't use any other font. This is font for headlines, for text, and then for business cards and employee badges. And then all the colors, what Nancy was talking about, this one she was talking about, these are the only, we gave them the Pantone colors, which is printers know what this means. Printers and designers know what this means. And then all of our secondary colors. These are the colors in our clinics. The walls, all the accents in our walls are built around these core colors. So the clinic's painted this way. Every piece, every design. In Zoom, there's one background that can be used in Zoom. I'm not using them right now because I'm not doing representing Rebound here. On Canva, which is what we create all of our email and Facebook posts that come out, we pre-design. There's 8 templates here. We probably have more now that we extended into, but you'll see that all those colors that you saw before are built into this template. All of them have the logo in the same place, right? with a phone number on some of them. So this makes it so easy for your designers. Like Kaylee is one of my daughters that sends out 100,000 plus pieces a week. She's designing all of our digital stuff that goes out. She just uses these Canva templates and builds around it. Makes it so easy and so fast for her.
It's
to,
beautiful. It's so, it's just so specific.
Yep.
Let me just interrupt for 1 second. Guys, Carrie, are we launching a poll? Okay, guys, survey time, because we live and die by surveys. Please fill out, while Paul's talking, and if you guys can stay on an extra minute, please fill out the poll. It is super, super important. This is how we plan the next thing. This is how we know what's going on in the minds of you owners and or your lovely supportive staff that come out and join us too. Paul, that's amazing. I'm jealous.
that right? Cool? Yeah, I mean,
Get that over to us. Get that over to us. We are going to get that. We're going to get that over to some peeps, and they're going to get the smackdown. We need to be like that. I mean, the Palooza is pretty, anyway, it's pretty there, but not like that. Paul, that was really great. And of course we wish you, we don't need to wish you luck, because I know that's going to kill.
I don't operate on luck.
And nobody operates on luck, but you know what I'm saying. We know that you're going to have undying success with it. And what the part I want to isolate for a second is how he's going to use that to get people in the door. I'm going to tell you why. This is a terrible example, because it's going to be, I don't mean to be political, but I don't like cannabis. I don't like that LA made cannabis legal. I've seen a real decline, but that's all here nor there. So I hate cannabis. Okay. I'm not a big fan. There's a cannabis shop down the street that is so marketed and beautiful that I want to go work there. That is branding. That is branding. When you can take someone, obviously I don't want to go work there, but you know what I mean? It attracts me. It pulls me in. Now, if it was like something a little bit that I would like a makeup store, I would be in there. I would be dropping all my duelers in there. They'd be getting all my cheddar in there, because the way they did it, the lighting, the branding, it's like it's hideous that it's what it is. But that's my political infusion into that. But just know that it's something, take anything that you think is hideous, and just the fact that they made it attractive to me. Damn, who is their marketing person? Amazing. So branding is really, and there's a lot of stuff out there on it now. Some of those guys that Paul just gave you, look those folks up. Guys, please do the poll. Paul is going to be at our, so some of you here are peds, there's the Palooza. It's sold out. We're going virtual now. And Paul is going to host, we're going to have a PT roundtable summit for the adult portion. Sherry's going to be there. I'm so excited to meet Sherry and Brian live. They are making the effort to get their butts down there, and they're going to be there. She's so excited. I know she's excited. And yeah, I know, right? So Paul's going to be there. If you are adult, there is like maybe 2 spaces, maybe for the PT roundtable, something, maybe, I don't even know. I'd have to look. It's pretty sold out, but we are building that conference mentality of the Palooza, but for the adult population. So please invite your friends, invite your colleagues to the private practice networking conferences so we can build more of that for you. And the Palooza is sold out. Jessica Hatfield's going to be there delivering her complimentary and generous yoga namaste to Miss Jessica, and all of you know namaste in my bed, and let all of you downward doggies do that, because I'm actually up at the crack of dawn. I'm just not doing yoga. I'm getting ready for you guys. So Paul, we cannot thank you enough. That was amazing. When is Carrie, do you know our next juice, Nutrition for Your Practice? It's the first. It's September. It's October 1. Is that what you're saying? Unmute. Tell us when it is. We don't know. Oh, you're saying 1 minute. Okay. Paul's looking it up.
Is it the 5th? The 5th is the first Wednesday.
Correct.
Ooh. Wow, that's really close to
That's close to launch, isn't it? You'd rather do it the 12th?
I have to rethink that. Maybe we'll do a replay. Maybe we'll do a replay of this. I don't know, but this is
I hope you guys like this, by the way. I had fun putting this one together. I was excited about it.
So good.
so good, so needed.
Yeah.
But guys, please oh, hi, Amy Bruick. I love the people sneaking on here that I don't know. Amy Bruick's bringing 10 people to the Palooza, yo. 10, she's bringing a little basketball team of amazing support people. I love the guys that have figured out how to get great staff. See, that's the thing about Paul's presentation. You see that what I was telling you about the cannabis joint, I meant to come back to Paul. People want to work for a well-organized, these guys can go work anywhere. These PT, OT, and speech paths can go work anywhere right now. So why would they pick you? You have a job to do. You better be organized. You better be offering them growth. You better be offering them organization. Otherwise, they're going to go work for the person that looks like Paul. And yes, it is an image, and maybe Paul's a big hot mess and he's a horrible boss behind closed doors. He's not, but what if he was? That is going to get in some applicants, because I'll tell you, I'd want to work there. It looks like what it is. It looks organized. It looks on task. It looks on purpose. It looks like I'm a PT and I want to make people better and I want to get them back in action. I want my grandpa to be able to, I want my father to pick up his grandkids and he can't because of a frozen shoulder. I want him to pick up my son. That is what it's all about. They know that. They know that you know that, and that whole vibe goes out into the juju verse, and it attracts people because it's attractive. I got to go because I got to go fill out an application at the cannabis joint. And no kidding. I am kidding. Oh my gosh. Like I would ever leave my Pippins and my Paloozis ever. Okay, guys, stay on. Do the, I can leave, but I can't end the meeting, right, Carrie Lee? Big hand to Carrie Lee, man. She makes all this stuff happen. She is my, I was trying to quote some Johnny Carson sidekick, right hand. I can't. I'm just too, I don't watch enough television for that, but she's all that in a bag of chips. She's a bag of taquitos, hot flavor. She's a hot taquito. All right, everybody, I cannot wait to see you in Snorlando, where we will not be snoozing. We will not be losing. We will be winning. Paul, thank you again. We love your contribution, and thank you for what you do for your profession. It does not go unnoticed and unappreciated. And all of you guys joining us today, we can't say enough about you. But I'm going to peace out and get off to the next 87 tasks at hand. Have a great day. Go do what you do best. Go serve those communities of yours. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.